Imagine losing power in your car at night. You reach out, and instead of a handle, your hand slides across a wall of smooth plastic. For decades, getting out of a car was a guaranteed action. You pull a heavy chrome lever, the latch physically releases, and the door swings open. It worked perfectly, with or without electricity. Modern electronic doors replaced that direct mechanical link with a clean, flush button. But when the 12-volt battery dies, pressing that button does absolutely nothing. A mechanism built entirely to look good in a brightly lit showroom becomes a lethal trap the second you have to find it by touch alone. Automakers still have to include a manual backup. Up front, they shrink it down to an unmarked little tab, tucked awkwardly right above the window switches. In the rear seats of some popular electric cars, there isn't a lever at all. You have to reach into the map pocket, lift a felt flap, and yank a piece of white foam to trigger a hidden cable. Owners actually trade advice online about taking a flashlight out to their driveways to practice this extraction process, trying to memorize the layout while they are still calm. Hiding the release to preserve a sleek, unbroken surface ruins the one job the door actually has to do when things go wrong. The design studios treat the backup latch like a cosmetic nuisance. To them, a brightly colored, obvious manual handle looks cheap. It reads as an admission that the expensive electronic button might fail. So they aim for a perfectly flush interior design, completely free of any mechanical seams or visual interruptions. The engineering question quietly shifts. They stop asking, where is the easiest place to reach this, and start asking, where is the easiest place to hide this while staying legal? You end up with 4 different priorities fighting over a single square decimeter of door panel. You have aesthetics demanding clean lines, cost demanding the cheapest cable, regulators looking for compliance, and the occupant looking for a way out. Those 4 interests almost never sit in the same design review at the same time. The visual and financial metrics win, and survival gets pushed completely out of focus. An emergency release that no one can find in a panic isn't an emergency release. The true cost of burying that lever becomes obvious in the smoke and chaos of a crashed vehicle. The actual failure point is its total invisibility in the dark. A Bloomberg investigation tracked roughly 140 reports of people trapped inside vehicles with electronic doors. They identified at least 15 fatalities over a decade, where occupants or rescuers couldn't open the doors before a fire started. The government noticed. In December 2025, the NHTSA opened a defect investigation into nearly 179,000 Tesla Model 3s. Specifically citing that the manual releases were too hidden and completely unintuitive for an emergency. Owners are now buying neon orange glow-in-the-dark pull straps online, bolting them onto their expensive doors to undo the studio's sleek styling. When your customers have to install high-visibility aftermarket kits to fix a design feature, that aesthetic choice has a quantifiable body count. For years, the law missed this entirely. Federal motor vehicle standards made sure doors stayed shut during a crash, but they had 0 requirements for the doors to open mechanically after the power cutout. That regulatory blind spot is closing. Starting in 2027, China is mandating a mechanical release on every single door, requiring a clearly labeled recess of at least 60 by 20 millimeters that functions without a battery. In the United States, Representative Robin Kelly introduced the Safe Exit Act, pushing the NHTSA to require standardized, clearly labeled, power-independent releases. Governments are forcing the lever back into plain sight. It is moving from an annoyance the studio tries to bury into an explicit legal requirement the designer has to compose around. The answer is evaluating these life safety features while the car is still in the concept phase, long before you have to bolt a cheap plastic handle to the finished door. This is where DEPIX Design Intelligence comes in. It provides a parallel review process, forcing executives to look past the well-lit glamour shots and see the design inside a dark, smoke-filled cab. DEPIX uses AI to generate these exact failure states as photorealistic evidence. It puts the real-world utility in front of the design chief, while the handle's location is still just pixels on a screen. It takes the pristine CAD geometry and plunges the render into darkness, proving exactly what a passenger will or won't be able to feel. When you use photorealistic states as proof, the layout of that door becomes a conscious, deliberate decision, settled long before it ever costs a stranger their life.